Hi everybody, this is Alchemist 2. I'm going to do a reading today from a story that's very near and dear to my heart. It's actually the first story in a series that I have been writing and am still writing to this day. And I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to end it, but I can see it has just unbelievable potential, and I'm hoping I can continue it and it can become a daily or maybe even weekly thing with me. Um, Perhaps I can get it published through somebody in the future. Who knows? I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and read the very first story in this saga, which I'm calling the Lux Saga, even though not everything takes place on Lux itself, but different planets and all over the universe. But I digress. Incomprehensible, inconceivable, otherwise unbelievable. Memoir of a Lux ambassador. Lux, the golden planet, is ravishing to behold, whether from a distance or roaming around the lavish gardens, artistic districts, and myriads of other places our lot go to when not studying in university or engaging in other academic pursuits, such as the outdoor forums, which I savor to the utmost. We're pacifists by our very nature, and we have never had to war or fight against others or ourselves. If anyone were to come against us, the psychic ability we have would draw them out. But mainly we combat everything with the power of love, which is the main purpose of the memoirs themselves. On the outside, we look like any typical human being, save for our hair color, which we can bend to the whim of our imaginations. We're ageless and shapeless, taking the form of many beings of flight or whatever suits our fancy, but our vessels, called Urim, are the most convenient form of travel. It is likely you have seen us before. We deviate slightly from the Homo sapien mold, but we're not much different than you. We've been helping human beings for ages, and hints at our existence lay in wait everywhere, all over your planet Earth. You may ask yourselves why I, Regina Cessatina Pia III, would be relaying this information to you. My tale is one many of you would think to be impossible. I don't live by conventional rules, regulations, or laws. I have been traveling through time and space for eons and millennia. You're still trying so hard to breach the fourth dimension and are so close. In fact, that is why I inscribe these words using my thought waves now. You have the ability. This is my tale, one I tell to whomever will listen and is unafraid of cogitating outside the parameters of the conventional cube. The Time Traveler's Husband. Many of the Lux from Ellisride Quadrant dwelt and integrated among human beings, so having human mates was never considered unusual or ill-fitting for us. Like my sisters before me, I too wanted to travel wherever and whenever I wished, but I had to be taught first. Remchai, she was the first ambassador, and she was the fourth dimension guru, and everyone absolutely adored her. She was everyone's mother, teacher, trusted friend, and confidant. What I am reading now comes from her personal digital log, or PDL. Regina, I cannot wait for you to learn of other realms. I have already traveled through many other time periods and thousands of places I cannot possibly pronounce, and interacted with species I never knew to exist. We had only read of them in our classes in university. I had always been open-minded to the possibility of multiverses and other forms of life, but honestly, I will have to admit, I was skeptical. They were amongst us. That was until I graduated and had my first solo journey to Earth in my own Urim. I've been many places, but Earth is by far the most unusual and unique. I took a visit to a somewhat secretive place called CERN. Here, Earthlings were just learning how to transport subatomic particles and figure out equations to manifest time travel. One man I have met, a certain Dr. Goro Takashima, is near to perfecting the method of time travel by using electricity as the catalyst. A bit rudimentary, but I am all the more intrigued at his genius. Over time, Goro and I start to engage in a custom known as dating, or courting as it was defined back in Earth's Victorian age. It is an odd sort of custom, but we have it back on Lux, only we connect through thought fields, pheromones, and the electricity of touch. Ours is a more spiritual union, but there are humans that have this ability too. They are simply rare. Goro and I have become closer to each other, and in about a year's time he asks me to engage him. At first, I don't understand what he means, but he explains what it means that I will be knitted to his heart forever. We called this melding, and I pray you experience it someday. Love in its many forms is truly exhilarating, and perhaps through Goro I can teach him just how integral and important it is to the survival of Earthlings, our own kind, and the universe as a whole. With my assistance, Goro can now travel in time and space. As far as he knows, it is going by conventional stereotypes and commonly held misinformation about time paradoxes. Yet, it is better, even in ignorance, to be cautious in other time periods. Nothing happens by happenstance or accident. I have a family of my own and am about to go into a rather volatile place, which war has been extended for much longer than it should have. I feel drawn to this place despite the fact that my mind steers me away from it. Goro, Tachibana, and Umi try to hold me back, but I must avert a bigger crisis here. It's at this point where Rem's words become painful for me to relive. She did what many ambassadors don't. She willingly put herself into a perilous place and did her best to avert certain casualties, even though my resplendent sister was killed trying to bring peace into a war-torn land, which is something the Lux simply don't comprehend. The idea of war is so foreign that just stepping into disorder, chaos, and discord is illogical. Yes, we know the thing exists, but on Lux, it simply does not happen. Rem did what she always does. She was caring, tender, reproving, maternal, and tactful in negotiations, but the fanatics she spoke to simply could not understand the dogma and fundamentalism was what was separating them from the rest of humankind. They did not want to be guided, let alone shown how their understanding of all that is connects everything. There are those who don't wish to be helped, and Rem, despite her good intentions and her golden multi-chambered heart, was brutally gunned down by someone who thought her to be an infidel. I didn't know what anger was until I had read the final thought transference from my sister's PDL. I mourned for days and ate very little food, and I also began to grow weak. My beloved friend Tesla brought me back to my senses. He reminded me we forgive even if we don't comprehend. I forgave, sent lamps to the patrons during the annual night of forgetting and letting go, never remembering the name of that human who had done the awful deed. Hate could not exist in my heart. It never had, and never would. My sister's words still stirred me on, and I wondered how Goro was surviving without the love of his life by his side. Something told me he had continued living, as best he could, but never married again. My traveling sister was the only woman for him. I wanted to meet the man my sister had married as well as her children. Yet, first, I encountered someone entirely different.